from a man who had his life on the line.
My wife was pissed when I bought this gun. Now she's really gonna kill me.
To another who couldn't storm out of the shop fast enough.
I can't believe one of them guys offered me $1,000 for them 50 pieces of Pez. That's an insult to the Pez community. I can't believe it. That's why they're chooches.
Here are Pawn Stars episodes that went way too far. Starting with the Holy Grail Colt that turned out to be a heartbreaker. When a seller walked in claiming he had a Colt Patterson prototype, Rick was immediately interested. This was the model that started it all, the first truly reliable revolver. A design so revolutionary that the Texas Rangers used it to help tame the Wild West.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I've got this Colt Patterson that I'm interested in selling. I think this might be a prototype.
That's really, really cool.
The seller said he paid $4,000 for it at auction, but believed it was worth $50,000 to $100,000 if it was a genuine prototype. The pitch was convincing. The unusual screw placement, the nearly pristine condition, the fact that Rick had never even seen a Colt Patterson prototype in person before. Rick wanted to buy it immediately. Man really had his hopes up for it, but there was one problem. Rick noticed the wear patterns didn't match. On an authentic piece, the scuffs and marks should have been consistent across both sides. And this one didn't add up.
If it's a prototype, it could be worth anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. Let me get someone down here to take a look at this thing.
Okay.
So he called in an antique firearms appraiser. Side by side with a definitive Colt Patterson reference book, the differences became glaring. The backstrap angle was wrong. The barrel lug was too big. One of the screws was clearly modern.
It's not real.
And just like that, the dream was dead. The expert said it flat out. It wasn't real. What started as a potential six-figure payday ended with Rick's heart broken and him passing entirely on the trade. The rotating double-barrel rifles that weren't what they seemed. When a seller walked in carrying two massive rotating barrel, double-shot rifles, Rick lit up immediately. The design was wild. Load 2 rounds, fire 1, spin the barrels, and fire the other.
These look gnarly.
These are gnarly.
In the 1800s, that meant you got a second chance at dinner before it ran off into the woods. One was even left-handed, a rarity in the gun world, and with inlays suggesting they might have been made by 19th century gunsmith William Hart. The seller's $2,000 each asking price didn't seem crazy, if they were the real deal.
Rotating barrel rifles are pretty rare, and one being left-handed makes it even cooler. But when you don't have all the original parts, it's difficult to put a value on them.
Rick called in his firearms expert, and at first, the details looked promising until the closer inspection began. The stock didn't match. The screws were modern. The rifling in the barrels looked far too recent. And then came the bombshell. These rifles weren't antique originals at all. They were Frankenstein builds, cobbled together in the 20th century from a mix of old parts and newer barrels. Cool to shoot, sure, but historically, not worth much. The expert valued them at $750 each, far from the $4,000 total the seller wanted. After some haggling, Rick took them both for $1,400, paying more for cool factor than collectability. But that's not the part where things go too far. It's the way he felt about the gun expert.
So that would be your crybaby, whiny-assed opinion?
Yes, actually it would be.
The 500-year-old halberds that started a showdown when a seller strolled in, carrying two massive poleaxes. Corey and Chumley thought they were looking at genuine medieval battlefield relics, possibly 500 years old. One was supposedly Austrian, the other Italian, and the seller wanted $7,500 each. If real, they could be worth a fortune to the right military collector.
What are those?
Poleaxes. Okay to put these down?
Yeah, go ahead and set them over here.
To verify the claim, Corey called in their medieval weapons expert. The Austrian one checked a few boxes, vent holes, and side hooks, while the Italian looked ornate enough to fit the style. But the expert immediately spotted trouble. The wood shafts weren't original, and one-blade steel was so flimsy it would likely bend if it actually hit armor. His verdict was that the Austrian halberd was likely authentic, worth around $1,500. The other was a Victorian-era reproduction, basically a decorative wall hanger worth $600 to $700. And while the expert was sure, the seller couldn't keep his cool. Every second he was there, he got angrier.
The thing that really concerns me about this piece is that the steel is really flimsy.
I disagree. You think it's not original because it's flimsy, but that thing is hand-forged, and I believe it's original, based on what I've studied.
Despite all of that, He was still offered a deal, but it only ended up making him angrier about the whole thing. He walked out, hoping to sell them for his asking price somewhere else.
I'm absolutely fine keeping them, or I can trade them with other people that actually know what they're talking about.
The Porsche engine that turned into a personal feud. A seller rolled into the shop with what he claimed was a 2000 Porsche Carrera 911 engine, fresh out of his junkyard. He wanted $4,500, bottom dollar, or $3,600, and was confident it was a good engine.
Looks like a bunch of junk in the trunk.
Rick, spotting corrosion and open fuel rails, called in Danny the mechanic for a closer look. Danny confirmed the problem. The throttle body and fuel rails had been left exposed, which meant whatever was happening on the outside was probably happening inside too. His verdict? The only way to know if it worked was to tear it apart, a costly gamble for an unknown motor.
What's going on inside there?
All right, so what do you think?
It makes me nervous. The only way to make sure it's right is I gotta open it up.
That's when things got heated. The seller flat out told Danny he was wrong and insisted they bring a good mechanic. Danny, who was the mechanic, stayed calm, but you could cut the tension in the room with a knife. Rick decided the risk wasn't worth it and passed entirely, leaving the seller convinced the experts didn't know what they were talking about. Sometimes the drama's less about the item and more about the people standing next to it.
You're wrong. It's good engine. It's not gonna make you no problems. If you bring a good mechanic, he will tell you what to do.
The Led Zeppelin album, real but worthless. A seller walked in with what he called the Holy Grail for Zeppelin fans, a Led Zeppelin I album signed by all 4 members. His asking price, $22,000. Rick, impressed but cautious, brought in a signature expert to verify it.
Jimmy Page signed the front, and on the rear, John Bonham, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones.
The expert confirmed the autographs were real, but valued it at $10,000 to $12,000, noting the unusual placement. Jimmy Page signed the front while the rest signed the back. That layout, he said, hurt its display value. The seller did not take the news well. He questioned the expert's credibility, even after hearing he had 25 years of experience, and argued that Page's front cover signature made it more special. The debate went in circles until the expert left.
The greatest rock band of all time.
Yes, they are.
They're the guys who really, gave everybody else their inspiration.
Rick offered $8,500, but the seller wouldn't budge below $17,500. They parted ways, each certain the other didn't know what they were talking about. When a deal gets personal, no amount of rock history can save it.
That if you told that to the average person, they're not going to care. They want them all in the back.
The Pico statue that sparked a standoff. A seller brought in a bronze statue of Pegasus and Perseus, claiming it was an 1888 limited edition piece by French sculptor Émile Picot. His asking price started at $6,000. Rick immediately noted Picot's works can be worth thousands, if genuine.
If this is a genuine Picot, we're talking thousands of dollars.
On closer inspection, Rick spotted a casting flaw and a mark reading "Made in USA," indicating it was likely a 1950s American reproduction. The seller refused to believe it, insisting Rick was wrong and didn't know how to appraise art. The conversation got tense, with neither side budging. Rick stayed firm, saying the shop wouldn't take the risk, and the seller walked out still convinced he had the real deal.
Well, to be honest, I don't know how to respond.
I believe this was recast probably around 40, 50 years ago.
In the pawn business, it's not just the fakes that cause trouble. It's when no one can agree they're fakes. The flintlock pistol that broke a collector's heart. A seller came in with what he proudly called the cream of his collection, an 18th century flintlock pistol from the Revolutionary War period. He claimed it had been in a family for generations, picked up at an estate sale, and was hoping to get $1,000 for it.
I'd like to get $1,000 out of it. I think it's worth it.
$1,000? It's not that it wouldn't be worth $1,000. It's, I just don't know if it's real. I'd like to call in an expert.
Corey brought in arms expert Sean, who explained that a genuine example from 1790 to 1820 could fetch up to $2,500. But after examining the markings and missing proof stamps, Sean confirmed it was a reproduction worth $75 to $100. The seller had paid $800 and was visibly crushed, admitting his wife was already angry when he bought it, and would be even angrier now.
My wife was pissed when I bought this gun. Now she's really gonna kill me.
Sometimes the only thing more painful than a bad deal is going home to explain it. The Pez collector who felt insulted. A dedicated Pez collector came in carrying 50 vintage dispensers from the 1960s and 70s, confident the shop would recognize their value.
Got any candy?
No, these have no candy in them at all. These are all from the 1960s, 1970s.
What good are candy dispensers without candy?
The highlights included a boxed Casper the Friendly Ghost from the 60s, which he said could fetch $300 to $400. A die-cut Mickey Mouse in its original packaging worth a similar amount. And his personal favorite, an original Batman dispenser, a piece he claimed could sell for as much as $300. Other characters in the lot included Bozo, Tinker Bell, and Zorro. In his eyes, the set was worth around $5,000, though he was willing to let it go for $2,500 since many were duplicates.
These are very, very collectible, and it's a great hobby.
Corey acknowledged that Pez dispensers had a strong collector market, but pointed out the major problem. The internet was saturated with sellers. Unless he could get them for a bargain, flipping them for a profit would be nearly impossible. He offered $1,000 for all 50, arguing that even selling them individually online would pit him against multiple listings of the exact same pieces. The seller immediately pushed back, insisting that just 3 of the dispensers were worth the full $1,000 on their own. Corey held firm, and the deal went nowhere. The collector left visibly annoyed, calling it an insult to the Pez community on his way out.